Hey, how are ya? Happy Wednesday. Getting over the hump. This is literally the middle of the week at 12:30 on a Wednesday for us on the East Coast anyway. Don't know what it'll be by the time you watch this. I'm excited to talk about this, and I should talk about this topic a lot more because it's worked for me. It's volunteering to find a job. It's underutilized, it's underleveraged, it's underestimated in its ability to help you not just meet people, but make an impression by making a contribution. It's really walking the walk. It's you don't have to say as much when you're doing as much, you know? And there are so many ways that this could look. The possibilities are endless. And I think some people might even have a very narrow idea of what this could look like. I want to go through some of the scenarios, okay? The number one place to look for a volunteering opportunity is with a professional organization related to your role or your industry. These organizations, and I want you to understand too that some of these opportunities do come with costs, and you may or may not be able to shoulder the burden of that cost, okay? Even if you can't shoulder the burden of that cost, there are other ways that you can help out. In other words, you sometimes have to pay a membership fee to be in a professional organization. Often you do. Often, if you're in transition, maybe your company paid for that, but you don't. Some of these professional organizations have reduced memberships for people in transition or students. Look into that. How do you evaluate a professional organization? By the engagement that they do in person as well as online. Unfortunately, LinkedIn groups took away a feature where you could see how active a group is. You can see how many members a group has. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. That's not really a good measurement, the amount of people that are in it, because you might be networking with somebody in Sao Paulo and you're looking for a job in Philadelphia. So that may or may not help you. Not that you should exclude people from other countries as potential people to network with, because you never know where that opportunity is going to come from. But we also have a finite amount of time, and see what you can do that's really more in the direct alignment with what you want to do. So professional organizations, ways that you can contribute to a professional organization, and don't put the burden on them to figure out how you can help. Don't do that. Don't be like, I want to help, tell me how I can help, because they've got a lot going on. Especially if they're a nonprofit organization, they're trying to do a lot with few resources. So ask them questions, be a consultant. Act as if they were somebody that you were working within your organization to serve and provide a solution for. Ask them consultative type of questions about what is needed. Ask them about their events. Do you need somebody at the door greeting people? Do you need somebody to set up chairs? Do you need somebody to break down? Sometimes you can get into high ticket events by volunteering to help out at the event. Do you need somebody to help out with technical equipment, or change slides, or provide ideas? And if you can tie what you want to do to what you really do in your role, what you want to do in your role, then even better. For instance, and this is research that I had to do. So there was a little thought in my mind a few years ago. I'd love to be an adjunct professor. I'd love to do that. I don't have a graduate degree. I have a bachelor's. I do have nearly 20 years of experience in my profession, so that does count for something in some institutions, right? And that was it. That's where I left it. I didn't pursue it. I just kind of came up with an assumption and dismissed it, pretty much. I was like, yeah, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, whatever. Something I can think about in the future. Maybe I'll go back for my master's. And I still think about that all the time, going back for my master's. Part of me still wants it, and part of me doesn't like specializing. I like generalist, learning neuroscience one day and psychology this day, and, something completely unrelated but has relevance another day. But that's a side topic, right? Then I met someone through, I guess it was like a startup organization, through startup activities. So even though what I was doing at the time wasn't related to startups, startups just interested me. I just wanted to pursue things with startups. So I did Philly Startup Weekend one year, and it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. And through that, I met some people. I met some people who were organizers, some people who were coaches, some people who were judges. And that led me to another contact. And when I looked at this other contacts that was recommended that I contact through somebody else for a completely unrelated, startup-related thing, I realized that, because he had a startup related to job search, and it's not a startup anymore. He has an established company now. So we met about that, but I saw his LinkedIn profile that he was an adjunct professor at Drexel University. And I also saw that he, like me, did not have a master's degree. So I was like, how'd that happen? So he told me that it happened, and it was not a networking opportunity, and it was a volunteering opportunity. These students, I was really excited to learn that Drexel had a mandatory career management professional development course that seniors in their business school have to pass in order to graduate. I was like, that's amazing. Every school should have that. And he's like, yeah, so they do these professional pitches, and I come in and I provide some feedback on these pitches, and they're looking for other people who can do that. I'm like, I can do that. That's perfect. I'd love to do that. So, yes, there was a thought in my mind that there could be an opportunity at the end, but I did it just because it was interesting to me, and it was a way I can contribute, and I thought it'd be a great experience, and I'd certainly meet people, even including these students. And it was an amazing experience. I came back a few times, maybe 3, before the career services director was like, hey, your feedback is pretty in alignment with how we do things around here, and we have an opening, so do you want to do it? And so without an interview, without a resume, I officially had to send a resume to HR, without a master's degree, I landed a role as an adjunct professor. I was there for 2 years, and now in January I'll be starting with a different university, teaching a similar course to communications seniors, and this program has been in existence for 25 years. And that person I met through a volunteering opportunity as well. My sister-in-law sits on the board of a nonprofit organization called Chester County Futures. They mentor kids in at-risk school districts. It's an amazing program. She invited me to their, it was like a women's event where their alumni were coming back, including a keynote speaker who was on Project One Way. She was a winner of Project One Way. I was like, that sounds awesome. So she's like, yeah, I have an extra seat. You want to come? I was like, of course I want to come. And that's where I met the now dean of the communications school at the university I'll be starting at in January. And we met then, and that was years ago. I was just about to start at Drexel at the time, and I told her about this program. She said, oh, yeah, we've done that for 25 years. And I was like, wow, that's impressive. That's progressive. It was a progressive and impressive. And so I met her, and I also volunteered for that organization later on. I went and I spoke to a group of students at an at-risk high school in my area. And I also volunteered at a career day where I had like a little table set up, talked to kids about various types of careers. So I think there's a lot of key lessons here. Number one, if you have an interest, if you have a passion, find ways to explore that further. It's so much easier to talk to people in a setting where you're passionate about something, especially, and if you have expertise about something. So put yourself in those situations. If there's a cost that's prohibitive, you have to weigh the investment. I paid $55 last week, 2 weeks ago, to go to a breakfast about trends, industry trends, and the area and how that fits in with everything. I learned an amazing amount of information. But I also met the speakers. I made it a point to stay afterwards. I only had 10 minutes, but I waited in a little line to go and meet the speakers. I met a lot of people I met a guy who's opening a brewery down the street from my house, and I'm talking to him about his opportunity, how I can help them, and also introducing him to a group of beer fans that I know. So, even a passion for beer can open up opportunities, So this is the job search that's really can be the most fun part of job searching. Not many people that I know and have met, very few, there are some, know how to do a job search where it's an enjoyable Not all of it, but a lot of it can be very enjoyable. So I wanted to really stress that not only, is this not just something that career coaches tell you to do so that you can do that, but also I want you to know that a lot of the experiences that you'll have in a job search can make you question your value. People reject you. You feel vulnerable. You ask people for help in introducing you to people. Sometimes they don't follow through. All of these things can start to turn into a cascade of negative experiences that turn into negative self-worth. And volunteering can remind you how valuable you are. Not only will it remind you how valuable you are, which will give you a lot more confidence in being able to affirm in an interview that you're valuable. So it helps you walk into an interview as the person who knows you have value, as opposed to the person who was just rejected by 4 other employers. But you're demonstrating your value, like I said initially. You're not just saying I'm valuable, you're being valuable. People see that, they notice it, and they appreciate it. And that inspires them to take action on your behalf. Okay? So, that is my key point today, is volunteer. Find ways to tie in your passions, tie in your skills, and even if it doesn't, find anything. You could volunteer you can volunteer on a one-on-one basis. Somebody in your neighborhood who's sick or ill or injured and they need, a meal every now and then. Connecting them with maybe a Meals on Wheels, and then be like, hey, I'll be the representative that comes and picks up so-and-so's meal, and then you work with Meals on Wheels and meet people there. If I made a list for you of all the organizations that I've currently volunteered for and have volunteered for, it'd be so extensive. And even when I'm busy, I have kids, I have a company, I've got to make money with my time or I don't feed my kids. So, but it's enriched my life. It's enriched my network. It's enriched opportunity for me. It makes me feel great what I'm able to do. So volunteer. If you need guidance in where to volunteer, I'm there to help. There's also a website called volunteermatch.org. You can actually look up nonprofits in your local area to see where there are opportunities to volunteer. That's one place you can go. Go out and have fun. Prove your worth. Feel the worth. You're worthy.